Ryan McCaffrey from IGN here with Gearbox President Randy Pitchford.
Hi.
Hello.
I've loaded up a low-level Maya in Borderlands 2, and we're hanging out here in the southern shelf. At
let's take a look at the skill tree.
There's Sir Hammerlock, and let's take a look at Maya's skill tree. So obviously, since this character's low level, she's not going to be very built, but we can kind of see some of the things that she can do here.
Yeah, let's give us a tour of what we might be able to.
Now Maya is a Siren, and that means that she can do things that normal people can't, almost like magical abilities. Maya's Siren ability is Phase Lock, which allows her to manipulate time and space in a bubble, and she can create a phase lock around enemies. She can also have some utility with it with allies, and I'll show you some of those skills. So the base skill here, phase lock, is selected at the top, and you use your action skill button aimed at a target, and it'll surround that target in a phase lock bubble. Some monsters are so big they can't actually be phase locked, in which case it'll just apply damage, apply some of the effects of the phase lock without actually trapping them.
Sounds like a really useful skill in co-op, where she can just keep somebody still, and maybe if you've got a gunzerker.
Yeah, it's great for crowd control. She's got 3 different skill trees here, which have different applications. So on the left is motion, which is definitely prioritized towards crowd control, just like you said. The harmony tree in the middle uses her phase locking ability and other magic to be a healer of sorts. And the Cataclysm tree on the right is all about using phase lock for damage dealing. And let's dig into some of these trees. We'll start with, since you mentioned crowd control, we'll start on that. Now there's some, we start you out with some just general helper skills. We want her to be effective in combat, so you're going to get some general kind of damage dealing kind of stuff. But the very next tier, one of the first things you get here is suspension, which is all about increasing how long that crowd control is active. So when you phase lock an enemy, how long they're trapped becomes a really useful thing. If you have 2 or 3 enemies, and incidentally, there are a lot of bosses you can actually phase lock. So and some of the first bosses in the game. So you can phase lock the boss while you're dealing with the ads, and that becomes a very useful skill early on in the game, even if you're soloing, not just co-op. So our first skill kill, which lets bullets that are coming at her bounce off. And
like
that's
Superman.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. And they'll actually reflect and do damage to the enemies too. So there's some defensiveness here as well in this tree, depending on how you build it. And that's why these 2 skills are divided. If you want to go for more crowd control, you go down this line, and this line is more for survivability, which is another purpose for crowd control, right? Like sometimes you want to crowd control just to take something out of the fight, but you want to take it out of the fight sometimes for tactical, strategic reasons. Other times just because you don't want it hurting you.
Right.
So all kinds of methods of survivability are kind of useful. 2 kill skills in a row here. The second one is just a general benefit for her to help her be effective in combat. Since the other characters are more combat related, we wanted some general combat skills to apply in this motion tree. You'll see as we get to some other skill trees that Maya's got that you're going to find some less generalized skills. But this is a really neat multiplier on crowd control, this converge skill. This not only, and it stacks great with suspension, because not only is the crowd-controlled targeted enemy trapped in a phase lock, but the phase lock itself becomes like a gravity well, like a black hole, and it sucks other enemies in to pull them together and hold them in place. This is really effective for a group of melee characters because they just can't hurt you if they're all being pulled and converged on this phase lock point.
It's like a garbage disposal.
Yeah. Cooldown reduction is awesome if you're using it for crowd control. What's neat is this is a stacking crowd control. So and this has 2 kind of purposes. So like one is hold the enemy so you can burn down that enemy, and then it'll pop to another target. There's a chance the more points you put in it, the higher your chance. the other is if you've got an elemental effect on a guy and you're just going to let him burn out, you can put your phase lock on him, speed that up, and then know that your phase lock will jump to the next guy. And if he's melting from acid or is on fire or something. This is awesome because this is full on. This is the ultimate in crowd control. It turns the enemies into allies. It kind of resets their brain and turns them into minions of Maya. She then is controlling them effectively, and they're gonna all turn on their team.
Possibly also useful in boss fights with some minions, right?
Outstanding in boss fights. There's any group fight. This is one of the most effective skills in the game. Now you do have to be careful because there are some creatures that become more powerful when they kill things. So like a berserking. What's the name of these guys? These giant buff guys that can berserk out. Every time they kill something, they'll actually turn on their allies anyway because they're just berserk. And if they kill something, they actually level up. They become badass. They become super badass. They become ultimate super badass, and they just get more and more powerful. If you control one of these guys, and because you've controlled an enemy, he's leveling up. Don't forget, it has a duration. At some point, the control will drop off, and then you're going to be forced to deal with that super buff enemy you've created. All right, so let's go to the Harmony Tree. Harmony Tree is all about healing. It's a utility. So, on this side, you start with some general stuff. But on this side, right out of the gate, we're going to get some healing ability, creating life orbs from getting kills with phase lock. And life orbs create almost like a vampiric effect. And life is sucked out of your target, and it goes to you. So it's regenerative towards the healer.
For a top-level skill, that seems like one I would want to pump up.
Right out of the gate, you're getting some healing ability. It's a great, and it's a co-op skill, too. If you read that descriptor, it helps your friends as well. So we put a healer there and general here, and then there's a general here. On this side, this is crazy. This is healing bullets. So ultimate co-op, you shoot players, it heals them when you shoot them, and your own health grows up. So from using the skill, so you become stronger, and you become the healer basically using the guns and the power of the guns. Your loot defines how effective your healing is because it's the power of the guns.
But that really has almost no use if you're soloing then.
It will heal you. It does have use or not heal you. It increases the damage you're doing into healing for yourself.
There we go.
So if by shooting enemies you can heal yourself. So it has some utility in that purpose. But yes, this is less likely to be the kind of skill that a solo player will use. And you'll find that throughout skill trees. There are some skills that are really kind of designed for solo play, and there's others that are designed for co-op. Mm-hmm. None of them are completely useless in either context, but there's definitely a bent. There's definitely a bent there, and that's by design. Regeneration, when you phase lock something for you and your friends. This is awesome. Your phase lock becomes a resurrection. So you got an ally that's down. He's fighting for his life. Bam. Phase lock them.
Oh, you got to have that in co-op.
Clearly a co-op skill, right? What I was talking about earlier. This is kind of like another mirror effect. Regeneration, more health steal, vampiric kind of stuff. And then Scorn, which is it adds the ability to basically throw a phase lock ball, cast it out. It flies slowly through the environment. Every time you hit your melee button, you'll have a cooldown that'll come up, an extra icon because you can't do it constantly. And anything that it touches, it'll do damage to it, and it'll put a slag effect. Slag effect increases damage. So when you when you stack this with, say, Life Tap, where when you're doing damage to anyone, you're stealing their health, you have tremendous regenerative ability. And great healer class. Probably the best healer in the game when Harmony is built properly. And then, stacking some of the other low-level skills for increasing damage and stuff.
All right, so quickly, how about the Cataclysm tree here?
So Cataclysm's all about elemental damage. It's all about turning the phase lock into a device which makes lots of things explode and catch on fire. So like at Helios here, you're going to create a fire explosion. Anyone nearby the phase lock will get caught on fire. This adds gives you the ability to do fire when you're in fight for your life, even if you don't have an elemental damage. So she becomes like the fire elemental mage.
It's like inspired by the phoenix there, the
Maybe
mythical bird of
sirens have an affinity, but there's other things too. Like if you look at Cloud Kill, now when you shoot somebody, you're also adding Acid Cloud, which does corrosive damage. So think about having both of these skills, Helios and Cloud Kill. You're lighting people on fire and melting them with acid at the same time. Here's her Blight Phoenix.
There is Phoenix.
It is a kill skill. It allows you to do fire and corrosive damage to anybody that's nearby. It's like an area effect. Anytime you kill something, you become a Phoenix, and you're just melting and engulfing in fire things that touch you. It's pretty rad. And this is the ultimate in Cataclysm. So now when you phase lock, in addition to the acid you've already put on here and the fire, now you're getting all of the elemental effects. You're slagging and you're electrocuting them. You're stacking every type of elemental damage possible on the enemy. This is an extremely powerful throughput skill tree, and when you combine it with other characters that are getting bonuses from things that are on fire or on acid, like if you're taking down stuff where you need a lot of throughput and a lot of DPS, Maya's the way to go.
All right, there is the Siren. Thanks, Randy.
Cheers.